Focus on yourself. 3 simple words, yet they hold a power most people never truly understand. In a world that constantly pulls your attention in every direction, choosing to focus on yourself is not selfish. It is necessary. You were not born to live as a background character in someone else's story. You were born to build, grow, and become the strongest version of who you are meant to be. But that journey starts the moment you decide to stop chasing noise and start listening to your own inner voice. Every day, people waste their energy comparing their lives to others. They scroll endlessly, watching highlights, achievements, and moments that make them feel behind. But what they forget is that comparison is the fastest way to kill progress. When you focus on others, you lose clarity. When you focus on yourself, you gain direction. Your path was never meant to look like anyone else's. And the moment you accept that, you unlock peace. Focusing on yourself means understanding your strengths and your weaknesses honestly. It means admitting where you are lacking without shame and deciding to improve instead of complaining. Growth does not happen by accident. It happens when you are willing to face uncomfortable truths about yourself and still move forward. You do not become better by wishing. You become better by working consistently, silently, and relentlessly. One of the hardest lessons in life is realizing that not everyone wants to see you grow. Some people feel threatened by your progress. Others feel reminded of their own inaction. When you focus on yourself, you stop seeking validation from people who will never understand your vision. You stop explaining your dreams to those who only see limits. You learn to protect your energy. Because energy is your most valuable currency. Discipline is a major part of focusing on yourself. Motivation comes and goes, but discipline stays. Discipline is waking up even when you do not feel like it. Discipline is choosing effort over excuses. When you focus on yourself, you build habits that serve your future, not your comfort. Small daily actions, repeated over time, create massive results. Most people quit because they expect fast rewards, but real change happens slowly, quietly, and steadily. Focusing on yourself also means mastering your mind. Your thoughts shape your reality. If you constantly tell yourself that you are weak, unlucky, or incapable, your actions will follow that belief. But when you focus inward and train your mind to think stronger thoughts, your entire life begins to shift. You start seeing challenges as opportunities and failures as lessons instead of endings. Another important aspect of focusing on yourself is learning to be alone without feeling lonely. Solitude is where clarity is born. When you step away from distractions and outside opinions, you finally hear yourself think. You understand what you truly want, not what society expects from you. Alone time is not isolation. It is preparation. It is where warriors are forged and visions are sharpened. You must also accept that focusing on yourself will sometimes make others uncomfortable. People are used to you being available, agreeable, and predictable. When you start setting boundaries and prioritizing your growth, they may label you as selfish or distant. But remember this, you are not responsible for how others react to your self-improvement. You are responsible for becoming the best version of yourself. Pain is unavoidable on this journey. Growth requires sacrifice. You will lose some people. You will outgrow some environments. You will question yourself at times. But every step you take while focusing on yourself builds resilience. Strength is not built in comfort. It is built when you keep moving forward despite doubt and fear. When you focus on yourself, you stop waiting for permission. You stop waiting for the perfect time. You understand that now is all you have. You take action even when conditions are not ideal. You stop blaming circumstances and start taking responsibility. Responsibility gives you power, because once you accept responsibility, you can change your direction. Self-respect grows when you focus on yourself. You stop tolerating disrespect, negativity, and situations that drain you. You raise your standards, not because you think you are better than others, but because you finally understand your worth. When you respect yourself, others either rise to meet you or fade away. Both outcomes are blessings. Focusing on yourself is a long-term commitment. It is not a trend, and it is not something you do only when life feels easy. It is a daily choice. Some days you will feel strong. Other days you will feel tired. But even on tired days, you show up. Consistency beats intensity every single time. Remember this. Your future self is watching you. Every decision you make today is shaping who you will become tomorrow. When you focus on yourself, you invest in that future version. You build skills, discipline, confidence, and inner strength. You stop living for approval and start living with purpose. This is not about ignoring the world. It is about mastering yourself within it. When you focus on yourself, you become unstoppable. Not because life becomes easy, but because you become stronger. And once you truly understand that power, nothing can distract you from your path again. Focusing on yourself also requires patience, because progress is rarely visible at the beginning. Just like a seed growing underground, your efforts may seem invisible for a long time, but that does not mean nothing is happening. Every workout, every late night of learning, every moment of self-control is adding up. People only notice the result, never the process. That is why you must learn to trust your own work, even when no one is clapping for you. Another powerful shift happens when you stop reacting to everything around you. When you focus on yourself, you stop giving emotional reactions to every opinion, criticism, or distraction. You realize that not every comment deserves a response, and not every battle deserves your energy. Silence becomes your strength. Calm becomes your weapon. You move with intention instead of impulse. Focusing on yourself means setting clear goals. Vague dreams create vague results. You need to know what you are working toward and why it matters to you. When your reason is strong, excuses become weak. Write your goals down. Break them into actions. Then show up daily, even when the excitement fades. Discipline will carry you when motivation disappears. You also begin to understand the importance of health when you focus on yourself. Your body is the vehicle that carries you through life. Neglecting it means slowing down your own potential. Proper sleep, nutrition, movement, and recovery are not luxuries, they are foundations. A strong body supports a strong mind, and together they create unstoppable momentum. Focusing on yourself teaches you emotional control. Life will test you. You will face rejection, failure, and disappointment. But instead of reacting emotionally, you learn to respond intelligently. You observe, learn, and adjust. Emotional maturity separates those who grow from those who remain stuck. When you master your emotions, you master your reactions. And when you master your reactions, you master your life. Another key lesson is understanding that you do not need to announce your plans. Move in silence. Let results speak. When you focus on yourself, you stop seeking external praise and start building internal confidence. Confidence built through effort is unshakable. It does not depend on likes, applause, or approval. It comes from knowing what you have survived and what you are capable of. And what you are capable of. Focusing on yourself also helps you forgive your past. You stop carrying guilt, regret, and resentment that only slow you down. You accept that the past taught you lessons, not definitions. You release what no longer serves you and make space for growth. Forgiveness is not weakness, it is freedom. As you continue this journey, you will notice your standards rising. Conversations change. Priorities shift. You no longer tolerate chaos, drama, or excuses. You choose growth over comfort, purpose over pleasure, long-term fulfillment over short-term satisfaction. This shift may feel lonely at times, but loneliness is temporary. Regret lasts forever. Finally, focusing on yourself teaches you self-trust. You learn to trust your decisions, your instincts, and your process, even when things do not go as planned. You trust yourself to adapt and recover. That trust becomes your anchor in uncertain times. When you believe in yourself deeply, nothing outside can shake you. Focus on yourself, not because you are perfect, but because you are a work in progress. Every day is a chance to become better than yesterday. Stay consistent, stay patient, stay focused. Your time is coming. Forward, focus on yourself until your actions become louder than your words. By now, you should understand that this journey is not about quick wins or external recognition. It is about internal alignment. When your thoughts, habits, and goals move in the same direction, progress becomes inevitable. Most people fail not because they lack talent, but because they lack focus. They start many things but commit to nothing. You, however, must be different. Focusing on yourself means learning how to delay gratification. You resist short-term pleasure for long-term success. While others chase comfort, you choose discipline. While others look for shortcuts, you choose consistency. This mindset separates leaders from followers. It is easy to relax now and struggle later. It is hard to struggle now and relax later. The choice is yours, but every choice has a cost. When you truly focus on yourself, you stop overthinking other people's opinions. You realize that everyone sees the world through their own lens, shaped by their fears, experiences, and limitations. Their judgment does not define your potential. The moment you stop living for approval is the moment you start living freely. Freedom is dangerous for those who fear responsibility, but empowering for those who seek growth. Another powerful shift happens when you stop complaining. Complaining gives temporary relief but permanent weakness. It trains your mind to look for excuses instead of solutions. When you focus on yourself, you ask better questions. Instead of asking why this happened to me, you ask what can this teach me? That single shift in perspective can change the direction of your entire life. Focusing on yourself also means building mental toughness. There will be days when nothing seems to work. Days when effort feels pointless. Days when quitting seems easier than continuing. Those are the days that matter most. Anyone can stay committed when life is smooth. Growth happens when you keep going during resistance. Mental toughness is built by surviving moments you once thought would break you. You also learn the value of silence. Not every achievement needs an announcement. Not every struggle needs an audience. When you move quietly, you move efficiently. Silence protects your plans from unnecessary doubt and negative energy. Let people wonder. Let results surprise them. There is power in being underestimated. As you focus on yourself, your relationship with failure changes. Failure no longer feels like the end. It becomes feedback. Each mistake shows you what does not work and pushes you closer to what will. Fear of failure disappears when you realize that staying the same is the biggest failure of all. Progress requires courage, and courage grows through action, not thought. You must also understand that focusing on yourself does not mean hating others or cutting everyone off. It means choosing wisely where your time and energy go. Surround yourself with people who push you forward, not those who pull you back into old habits. Environment shapes behavior more than motivation ever will. Change your environment, and growth becomes easier. When you focus on yourself, you stop romanticizing struggle and start respecting process. Success is built in boring routines repeated daily. There's nothing glamorous about discipline, but it is effective. Wake up, do the work, improve a little, repeat. This formula is simple, but not easy. Most people quit because they underestimate the power of small improvements done consistently. Self-belief becomes stronger as you keep promises to yourself. Every time you show up when you said you would, trust grows. Confidence is not loud. It is quiet certainty built through proof. You do not need to convince anyone of your worth when you have already proven it to yourself. Focusing on yourself also teaches you to control your inputs. What you watch, what you listen to, what you read, and who you talk to all shape your mindset. Garbage in creates garbage out. Be intentional about what you allow into your mind. Feed it with knowledge, discipline, and purpose. Your mind is a battlefield, and focus is your defense. At some point, you will realize that you are no longer chasing motivation. You have become disciplined. You do not rely on feelings to take action. You rely on standards. This is when progress accelerates. When action becomes automatic, success becomes predictable.